Alright guys, we're back at the bat cave. I just dropped my battery out of my flashlight. Let me get that so I can show you what we found. We discovered that this case was not 20 cut. So that's twice the parts store screwed me on my bearings. This case was standard, worn out standard. So I had Scooter run the 20 cutter through it, see if it would clean up. And it just hit one spot of the case. I'm not gonna unbolt the case right now. Let me see if I can get this flashlight going. Hang on a minute. My flashlight, for some reason the battery's got to be partly out of it for it to work. There's a sweet spot. So anyway, we ran the cutter through there, and there's some really good head porters on YouTube, and they'll tell you you can either listen to the wall thickness of the metal by the sound that the bit makes, or you can use B&J sonar tester to test the thickness of the port. And I've done a lot of head porting, so you can definitely tell when something, when the tone of metal changes when it's being cut. And basically what a line borer machine is it's got a fixture that goes into the front hub there. And then there's a fixture in the back with a bar that goes through it with cutters. And it runs through the case. And it cuts this hole back again. And my flashlight's not cooperating. But anyway, gee, mo nitty. What happened was it just cleaned up one spot of the case. And then basically it's got little cutters on it. And you set them at 40 cut or 20 cut. And they just touched one part of the case. So that tells us the case has seen extreme heat. And it's been through a lot of cycles, just like I suspected. I'm trying to dick with this flashlight so I can show you guys what I want to show you. But, so Scooter was going to cut at 40 for me. And I was sitting there trying to make the decision. You know, he was pretty confident they would turn over. And I just happened to be looking down at the top of the case. And I don't know if you can see right there where the dicum's at, the blue stuff, but you see that line? Let me back it up. Right there, that's a crack. So that's the center main. That's why it kept being inconsistent. I'd torque the case and it would turn over and have a tight spot. Then I'd take the case apart, torque it again, and it would have a, you know, bind. It wouldn't turn at all. It would turn and it wouldn't turn. It'd turn a little bit, wouldn't turn. There's a huge crack that runs from here all the way across the top of the case. Right here, goes all the way through here. And every time you torque the mains down, this crack squirms open bigger and bigger. And they painted the case silver and filled the crack with paint, so I didn't see it. So as the oil seeping through the main and getting into this crack, it discolored, and that's why I was able to see the crack through the paint. And the crack's pretty large at the bottom there. I mean, it's pretty, that's a pretty big crack right there. That goes all the way through the case up to the top into the center main area. That's why this main keeps moving. It's actually shifted. So this case is no good. And that's a real bummer. Tomorrow I'll unbolt it and I'll show you how it cleaned up on one side. But I'm not going to do that tonight because I'm tired. I was all day down there getting them to run the bar through that. And yeah, so I got behind today, so tomorrow I'm really gonna have to hump it. I got to get that front end job done, and I got to get these heads, this Hemi motor back in. Andrea got a job at a car dealership, so I'm gonna be taking over the day-to-day paint stuff, making deliveries, taking orders, stuff like that, going to the warehouse for her. And I'll have to get up early and do the kids because I think she has to be at work at 7:45 every morning. The dealer life, you know, you got to have that morning meeting to get the day started before the day starts. So yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we found. So there we go. This is twice that I've taken the case to the parts store and they sold me the wrong bearings, back-to-back motors. The first motor was the thing. They sold me the wrong size on the crank, right side on the case, and started the motor up. It ran pretty good because it had a high volume pump, but when I drove it, it had a vibration and the oil light would come on. And I had to take the motor all back apart and change the bearings out. And he sold me 20 bearings for this case, and it's standard. So yeah, it was a worn standard, the 20 fit, but you know, being that it had the wrong size bearings in it and the crack in the main cap, it was just a combination of aggravations on this one. So the only choice we have now is this case. It's the only one I have. I got to see if I can put a main stud back in this hole. It's missing a main stud, and that's never a good thing when one of those pulls out. But I'll try to thread a main stud in there and see if that one's good. And if it's good, we'll have to, you know, insert it and start all over again. So that's where we're at with this one. Spent a day down there in Orlando, and now at least we know what's going on. You know, our crank's good. I checked it, put it in the V blocks, and it's straight. There's no bend in it. There's no twist. The crank's good. So it's definitely the case, the combination of the crack center main and the case being heat cycled so much. We talked about using cases out of buses. Anytime you see a used case and it carries the 211 part number, it has the 3 provisions for the mustache bar, walk away from it, because it's either a type 3 case or a bus, and both those vehicles run hotter than a Beetle. So this thing's already had a hard life, being that it was in a bus or a type 3, one of the two. More than likely a bus, because if it was in a type 3, it would have the 311 pickup down there for the dipstick tube. So that's what we got. Pretty much that's a piece of paperweight there. Some guy in Miami sold that to Ken for $100, and go figure. But that's the story. That's what we're going on. And this is a 1967 case also. So pretty old piece too, to boot, besides all the wear and the fatigue. So yeah, so that's what's happening here. Not a whole lot. Nothing happened here today. I just got home. Took me 2.5 hours to get home from Orlando because the traffic was backed up. Somebody decided to kill themselves on I-4 tonight. So you know how that is. Traffic jam, traffic jam. But give you a quick look at Lily. Still shiny. Still shiny. And I got my low battery light, so let me shut this down. And we'll get crack-a-lacking tomorrow. So you guys have a good night and have a better day tomorrow.